The day the music stopped, the silence felt wrong. On February 7th, 2026, rock didn't lose volume, it lost a voice. A voice millions grew up with. A voice that made us feel strong when we weren't. Brad Arnold wasn't just the frontman of Three Doors Down, he was its heartbeat. For nearly 30 years, he stood tall while trends faded, turning song after song into anthems people survived on. Tour after tour, city after city, his music carried a generation through their darkest nights. But behind the lights and sold-out crowds, there was a fight no one saw. While the world saw strength, Brad was battling in silence. No headlines, no complaints, just pure, stubborn endurance. He smiled, he sang, and he carried the weight alone. And when the truth finally surfaced, it hit harder than any chorus ever could. This wasn't just the end of a band's era, it was the loss of a voice that made millions feel less alone. When Brad took his final bow, rock didn't just lose a singer, we lost a fighter, a memory, and a piece of ourselves. For millions of people, one song became more than music, it became a lifeline. Whenever life felt too heavy, whenever hope felt distant, they pressed play and listened to the same words over and over. "It's not my time." Those lyrics sounded fearless, unbreakable, certain, which makes what happened next feel almost unbearably cruel, because the man who sang them with so much belief didn't get the time he promised. Brad Arnold was only 47 when his story came to an end, and behind the cheers, the lights, and the packed arenas, he had been quietly fighting a battle no one could see. Not for sympathy, not for attention, he just wanted to keep singing. While the world watched him smile on stage, Brad was privately fighting an aggressive form of kidney cancer. He carried that weight silently for nearly a year, telling almost no one. No headlines, no public breakdowns, just pure, stubborn strength. But his life was never just about illness. To understand what made Brad Arnold who he was, you have to look at the storm that seemed to follow his band for decades. Because tragedy kept circling Three Doors Down like a shadow. Guitarist Matt Roberts lost to an overdose, bassist Todd Harrell facing prison time, dreams falling apart one piece at a time. And through it all, one man stayed standing, Brad, the last thread holding everything together, the voice that refused to quit. Think about that for a second. How do you keep performing every night when the people beside you keep disappearing? How do you keep singing about hope when life keeps testing you? And when Brad finally spoke up about his illness near the end, what was he really trying to tell us? Because when you strip away the fame, the charts, and the music videos, you discover something unexpected. The real superhero wasn't the one in Kryptonite, it was him, a quiet man facing death with faith instead of fear. But before the hospital rooms, before the silence, before the heartbreak, there was noise. Deafening, electric, life-changing noise. Crowds screaming, speakers shaking, a moment when everything felt possible. To understand what we truly lost, we have to rewind to the very beginning. And that beginning wasn't glamorous. No Hollywood studio, no record label office, no big city spotlight. Just thick Mississippi air and a bored teenager sitting in math class. Picture this, a 15-year-old kid tapping his pencil on a scratched wooden desk. The teacher is talking about equations. Brad isn't listening. Instead, he's scribbling lyrics about a broken superhero, a hero who's strong but scared he might fall apart. That little classroom daydream turned into a song called Kryptonite, and that song would change everything. By the time the year 2000 rolled around, music was shifting fast. Grunge was fading, pop was taking over, but people wanted something real again, something raw, something honest. That's exactly what Brad Arnold and his friends delivered. Their first album, The Better Life, didn't quietly climb the charts, it exploded. Suddenly, the kid from Mississippi wasn't just a drummer who could sing, he was the voice blasting out of every car radio in America. Kryptonite was everywhere. Dorm rooms, road trips, late-night drives. It wasn't just a hit, it was an anthem. And they didn't stop there. Songs like Loser and Duck and Run turned insecurity into power. Brad had a rare gift. He could take his personal struggles and somehow make them feel like everyone else's story too. That's why fans connected so deeply. He didn't look like a rock star. No flashy costumes, no drama, no tabloid chaos. Just a regular guy in jeans and a t-shirt pouring his heart into a microphone. and people trusted him because of that. The numbers proved it. Over 6 million copies sold, a massive success. Three Doors Down wasn't just popular, they were the sound of an entire generation growing up. Then came Away from the Sun, and with Here Without You, Brad showed another side. Not loud, not explosive, but soft, vulnerable, emotional. The kind of song that makes you stare out of a window at night and think about someone you miss. They toured the world, played for soldiers overseas, became comfort for people thousands of miles from home. Brad was living the dream every kid imagines, standing in front of oceans of fans, hearing thousands of voices sing his words back to him, lights blazing, adrenaline pumping, applause that never seemed to end. For a while, it must have felt invincible. But here's the part nobody talks about. The top of the mountain can be lonely. From far away, fame looks perfect. Up close, it's exhausting. Going from a quiet small town to worldwide superstardom overnight isn't just exciting, it's overwhelming. Endless travel, no privacy, pressure to create another hit, then another, then another. Hotel rooms blur together, days lose meaning, friends drift away. And slowly, cracks start to form. Because success doesn't protect you, sometimes it just hides the damage better. And for Brad Arnold, those cracks would grow wider than anyone realized. Until one day, even the strongest voice in the room had to face something he couldn't outsing. Yet somehow, even then, he still tried. Because to him, quitting was never an option. And maybe that's why those lyrics still hit harder today. It's not my time. He sang it like he believed it, like he was daring the world to prove him wrong. And in a strange way, even after everything, those words still feel true. Because legends don't really leave, they echo forever.
Brad stood at the very front of it all, carrying the weight of the spotlight as the band's voice, its image, and the name everyone remembered. Fame wrapped around him early, bright and blinding, and just as quickly he discovered the hidden truth that the higher someone rises, the harder it becomes to breathe. Each night, the crowd screamed his name, yet when the tour buses rolled away and the next city faded behind them, the noise disappeared, leaving only quiet hotel rooms and a loneliness that felt louder than applause. To the outside world, Brad Arnold looked untouchable, like nothing could break him. But beneath that shining surface, the ground was slowly cracking. Fame has a cruel way of hiding damage, masking pain with flashing lights and cheers. For Three Doors Down, success did not come free. The cost wasn't money or fame, it was something heavier, something that chipped away at their lives and freedom, piece by piece. Endless touring slowly twisted the dream into something darker. What once felt exciting began to feel exhausting, and fans started whispering about a strange shadow that seemed to follow the founding members everywhere they went. Brad watched it happen in real time, helpless as the friends he grew up with in Mississippi, his brothers, not just bandmates, were pulled under by struggles they couldn't escape. The first heartbreak hit close. Matt Roberts, the lead guitarist and Brad's childhood friend, started to fade. Matt wasn't simply part of the band, he was family. The road wore him down physically, and personal battles pushed him away from the life they had built together. Then, in 2016, the call came that no one is ever ready for. Matt had died alone in a hotel room from an overdose. Just like that, a shared dream that began in their hometown ended in silence. No amount of cheering could ever fill that empty space. And the pain didn't stop there. Todd Harrell, the original bassist, faced his own downward spiral. Substance abuse led to one terrible choice behind the wheel, a decision that cost him his freedom and sent him to prison. One brother was gone forever, another was locked away. Suddenly, Brad was standing alone. The trio that once ruled the stage had shrunk to one man left carrying the name, the memories, and the questions no one could answer. Being the last one standing came with a crushing weight. Brad wasn't immune to escape either. For years, he quietly fought his own battle with alcohol, becoming what people call a functioning alcoholic. On stage, he looked perfect. Strong voice, big smile, flawless performance. Backstage, he was drowning. He drank to dull the aches from touring. He drank to quiet the ghosts of Matt and Todd. He drank because being the good guy of rock and roll every single day felt like armor that was too heavy to wear. Some nights, the line between reality and performance disappeared. The crowd's love felt like a quick high that vanished the moment the lights came on. Alone on the tour bus, far from his wife and the simple life he missed, he feared he might follow the same path as his friends. He could see the cliff ahead and knew one wrong step would send him over. Isolation mixed with addiction, a trap that had swallowed so many musicians before him. But this time, he chose differently. Instead of surrendering, he fought back. He made the hard, brave decision to get sober and take control of his life again. He wanted to be present, to be a better husband, a better man, and a stronger leader for the band. Slowly, clarity returned. His mind sharpened, his spirit lifted. For the first time in years, it felt like the storm had passed. He believed he had beaten his demons. He even thought the so-called curse was finally over. For nearly a decade, things seemed steady. After getting sober in 2016, Brad became a rare story of survival in an industry known for breaking people. He drank water on stage, talked openly about faith, and showed fans that change was possible. The band toured again. The crowd sang every word. Hope replaced fear. Then, early in 2025, something strange happened. Shows started getting postponed without clear reasons. Social media went quiet. Updates stopped. In the absence of information, rumors exploded. Fans and tabloids guessed everything: relapse, drama, burnout. Fame has a cruel rule. When someone goes silent, people assume the worst. But the truth was far more serious than gossip. Brad wasn't fighting a bandmate or a bottle anymore. He was fighting for his life. Behind closed doors, away from cameras and headlines, doctors delivered news that would shake anyone to the core. In January 2025, they found an aggressive form of kidney cancer that had already spread to his lungs. While the world speculated about scandals, Brad was facing something much scarier than rumors. Instead of telling everyone, he kept it private. He didn't want pity. He didn't want sympathy ticket sales. He didn't want to be seen as weak. So he carried the diagnosis alone, trying to protect the image fans believed in. By night, he was the energetic frontman running across stages. By day, he was a patient going through treatment. It was the hardest performance of his life, and no one even knew it was happening. But secrets that heavy don't stay hidden forever. His strength began to fade. The cancellations became impossible to explain. Fans noticed the weight loss, the tired eyes, the slower movements. Concern replaced rumors. Everyone sensed something was wrong, but no one imagined how seriously it really was. Eventually, silence stopped working. Brad realized he couldn't let gossip write his story. If the truth was coming out, it had to come from him. So in May 2025, after months of questions, he finally spoke. Not on a red carpet, not during some flashy interview. Instead, he chose something simple and direct. Sitting in front of a camera, looking straight at the people who had supported him for decades, he dropped the superhero image. No stage lights, no music, just honesty. The tough, untouchable rock star disappeared, and what remained was a man telling the truth about his fight. And in that quiet, vulnerable moment, Brad Arnold wasn't just the frontman of a band anymore. He was something far braver. A survivor refusing to let darkness write the final verse of his story. He stood before the world as a man who knew his time might be short, quietly confronting his own mortality and finally preparing to reveal the hidden enemy that had followed him in silence for months. Speaking with an unexpected calm that made his words even heavier, Brad shared the secret he had carried since the start of the year. A truth he had protected until he felt ready to face it out loud. Gently but clearly, he named the illness. Stage 4 clear cell renal cell carcinoma, a rare and aggressive kidney cancer that had already spread to his lungs. For the fans listening, the news landed like a punch to the chest. The same voice that once gave them strength and comfort was now admitting to a weakness no amount of determination alone could defeat. Yet what followed was not a cry for sympathy or a moment of despair. Instead of asking for pity, He offered something far stronger. What came next sounded less like surrender and more like victory of the soul. With a steady gaze and fearless heart, Brad Arnold chose defiance over dread and delivered words that would echo long after the music fades. He didn't complain about the music business, and he didn't blame fate or the tragedies that had haunted his band. Rather than listing injustices, he spoke about acceptance, calmly telling his fans, "I have no fear." In that instant, everything felt clear. Even as his body fought a battle it might not win, his spirit remained untouched and unbroken. He talked about faith with certainty, reminding everyone we serve a mighty God, turning what could have been a heartbreaking announcement into something that felt like a message of hope. Anyone who knew his music couldn't miss the irony. This was the same man who once sang "It's Not My Time," a bold anthem about refusing to give up. But now, when time seemed to be catching up with him, he didn't fight the darkness with anger. Instead, he met it with grace. He even went back to listen to that old song again, discovering fresh meaning in lyrics he had written years ago. Life had come full circle in the most emotional way, blending the art he created with the reality he now faced. It was as if the music had always been preparing him for this very moment. The reaction from the world was immediate. A space that often feels cold and cynical suddenly filled with warmth as messages of love and prayer poured in from every direction. Fans, fellow musicians, and even critics paused to honor the courage of a man who refused to let cancer write the last line of his story. By speaking out, Brad reclaimed control of his narrative, choosing to be remembered not as a victim of tragedy, but as someone who stood tall in the face of it. Through his example, he reminded us that strength is not about living forever. True strength is about meeting the end without fear. Brad Arnold's journey was never just about rock stardom or chart-topping hits, and it wasn't simply another sad tale of a musician gone too soon. At its core, it became the story of a quiet, thoughtful man who refused to let the noise of the world drown out the truth in his own heart. When February 7th, 2026 arrived and the music finally stopped, the silence still carried the echo of his voice. Although the shadow that seemed to follow 3 doors down may have claimed his body, it could not touch his spirit. By keeping his pain private for so long and then revealing it with such honesty, he offered something more valuable than any award or platinum record. He showed us that even when the body grows weak, the will can remain unshaken. The same teenager who once scribbled Kryptonite lyrics in a high school math class eventually proved that real strength isn't about being invincible. It's about standing firm even when you feel fragile. Choosing faith over fame and peace over panic, he challenged all of us to reflect on our own lives. If tomorrow were our last day, would we be satisfied with the story we wrote? Could we say with the same calm certainty, "I have no fear"? His legacy is layered and human. He survived addiction, endured loss, and became a voice for anyone who ever felt alone. Long after he's gone, his songs will still drift through late-night bars and roar through packed arenas, reminding people that someone out there understands their pain. The secret he carried was never about shame, it was about protection. It was his final act of love for the family and fans he treasured most. He didn't want us focused on the illness, he wanted us to remember the life. So as we say goodbye to a voice that shaped a generation, his most famous lyrics take on a deeper meaning than ever before. For years he sang it wasn't his time, and now, heartbreakingly, that time has arrived. Still, in the hearts of millions who found comfort in his music, the door he opened will never truly close. At last, Brad Arnold has found the peace that endless touring could never give him. The Superman didn't fly away from the light in fear, he soared straight into it, strong until the very end.